In this movie, we're going to show how to create a piece of Linenfold relief for a surface for use in a architectural setting or woodworking setting. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to use this picture here that's showing what we want to create to help create the geometry that's needed. So what I'm going to do is go here to the Draw tool, and I'm going to choose the Draw Bezier Curve. And actually, before I get started on that, I'm just going to zoom in here a little bit so I can see the area that I want to draw in. I'm going to start here at this internal point, and if I just hold down on my cursor, you can see I'll create the curve as I go along here. And I'm probably going to end up coming back up and cleaning this up a little bit when I get a chance. What I'm trying to do is get a job of I can of drawing a smooth curve to start with. So I'm just going to meet in the middle there, and now I can see I've got a little bit of a curve here. And I'm going to zoom in on this, go to the point edit mode, and just try and make this look a little bit better. So we'll start off by grabbing these nodes and shortening some of these curve motions here. And there's a little bit of just getting in there and making sure that you have good shapes, and it could be a little time consuming based upon how good of a job you did starting this process to draw this line. But each one of these little curves will have its own handles. If you hold the shift key down, then you can get an idea of what it'll look like for both sides to be changed. Alright, so we're getting here through here pretty quickly. A little bit there needs to be straightened out. And this is the sort of thing where you can end up spending as much time as you want. Making sure everything looks good here. So I'm going to go through this somewhat quickly, but again, this is an area where if you want to spend more time, you'll get a little better result. I'm just going to delete this one last point here. Looks like we're just about to the midpoint. And now we're going to come up here, and here's going to be where the line meets in the middle. So basically, I've just drawn a line, and I've used it to go along this whole part here. Now I'm going to take this line, and I'll just grab it by selecting this part here. I'm going to go to the mirror tool, create a copy, do a side-by-side mirror, and I'll adjust my little starting reference point here to see that I'm going to go on the other side and hit apply. So I'm just kind of, by doing this, making each side of these more or less the same. And if I wanted to, I could come here and change one of these a little bit versus the other and get a slightly different result on this side to make it a little bit more custom looking. Alright, so here I just kind of changed one side versus the other, but again, this gets to just how much time you want to spend doing this, so we'll just go with that one right there. Alright, so now I've got these two parts. I'm going to take them and I'm going to merge the selection. Alright, now to give it this kind of an effect, this is a flat part here. I'm actually going to use sweep to rails, and I'm going to use this little line I drew as one of the rails. So one of the things I need to do is rotate it a little bit so that this part is up in the air and this part is lower down. So I'm going to come here to the side view, and I see this is on the upper part here, so again, I'm going to select this part and go to this view, and this represents the contour here. And I want it to be up taller towards the middle here, so I'm going to go to the rotate tool. I'm going to just click here as a reference point on screen, shift again, and then just kind of rotate my part a little bit. So I wasn't too precise there, but I'm now going to shorten that a little bit so there's just a little bit of a length, and move this here. So this is how I'm creating my, so I'm going to create the Linenfold effect. And however much, and now I can see I've changed this from the side view, so I'm going to drag this back up here. I'm going to make this match from the top view, and then that's going to help me get the look I want. And however thick I want this to be, I can't really tell from this photograph. That's going to be, however thick I want this to be, that's going to be how thick this is in the side view here. And currently we're about at a 1/2 inch, so you know, maybe I'll make this 0.46 would be good. And then if I hit F2 and look at the precision input center and see this is 0.03 above 0. That's not very much, so oh, I misrepresented how much that was. So I'm going to increase that height a little bit. So now this is 0.06. Now it's going to be 0.1. I imagine that's going to be, let's say, a 1/2 inch material. So this probably, well, at this point you can make it however thick you want. I'm just going to stick with this here and do it this thickness. So now what we're going to do is create our relief, and I'll just look at this geometry on screen here, or this picture, and I'm just going to create a rectangle that's roughly the same size, like this. Okay, and if I recall, this part here now is at a top position above 0 of 0.29. All right, so if I look at this part, I also can see a little rounded profile here. All right, so let's do that part as well. So I'm going to come here and just create a little quarter round using the arc tool. Do that one more time. I'm going to come here to create arc, hold down in the center and hold the shift key down, go directly to the right, hold the shift key down and go directly top, and you've created a little 90-degree quarter round there. And we're going to make this 0.25 in height, and that should make it both width and height of 0.25. All right, now we'll select that original geometry I just created to create the size of the panel here, and we're going to do a flat, no thickness relief. And the size of this is pretty small. That wasn't really on purpose, but it turned out that way. Let's make this a little bit bigger here. That explains why this was such a small piece. Now this is 0.79, and I'm going to make this 0.5 in height. So we're going to make this a thickness of about 0.5 inches, and then we're going to move the top of this to 0.5. All right, so now we got our part designed here and positioned in the Z-axis so that the top of it is at 0.5 and the bottom of it's just resting on the plate here. We've created a little quarter round here we're going to use, and this probably is gotten too big here, so let's make this 0.25 again by 0.25. All right, now here's our relief. We're going to do flat, no thickness, apply, and then we're going to come here and do a chamfer. Here's the contour we're going to chamfer with. We're going to miter the corners, and this creates this little shape here. All right, now let's turn this off for a second. Here's our rail on the first part. Here's our contour we're going to use. So I'm going to actually select this part and go to mirror by line. We're going to snap the midpoint here, and that allows us to snap on the midpoint of this part. And I just created a second piece of there where I was supposed to. Let's try this again. We'll select this part, go to mirror by line, create a copy, There's my first anchor point, and I just drag a line out here. So now I've created a line down here at the second part of this area, and I can decide if I want to keep it the way it is or somehow change it a little bit. All right, so there's my two profiles. All right, the top of this one should also be at a Z depth of, or Z height of 0.5 above the material, which it is. And so here we have our two rails, which are moving in the X, Y, and Z axis. You can see them slanted here, a little slant for each of them. And now we're going to draw a profile that we're going to sweep between these two rails. And that's just going to be a straight line that we draw on the X axis here. So now we'll select the relief. We're going to come here and go to this part here. Let's see, we're going to go to sweep two rails. Sweep two rails. We have our relief selected. Select the first rail, which is here, second rail, which is here, and the sweep sections 1, 2. And we're going to do a merge highest and hit the green check mark. And there we have a little, oh, excuse me, that's what happened. That's merge highest. So let's try this one more time. We needed to add that. So we're going to go to sweep two rails, first rail, second rail, 1, 2, and we're going to add this on there, green check mark. And there we've created a nice Linenfold effect. So this would be something you could purchase one, or you can just use this one or create your own quite easily.